Hello, and welcome to Cold and Flu Season with Catherine May. For the next few weeks, I will be coming to you with an increasingly croaky voice as, just as every year, I succumb to every single bacterium that is floating around in the air around me. I think probably a lot of you are feeling the same at the moment, or instead wondering how you can prevent it happening to you. And there is a certain amount of surrender in this season, isn't there, where you just have to let it all wash over you and try not to be too croaky and try not to spread too many germs. I am indoors today because the outdoors seem very hostile to me right now. And I am, in fact, busying myself by reshelving some of my books, which is an ongoing project for me. I always have more books than shelves, and this year I had some new ones built in, which I'm very, very proud of. But I still haven't quite yet managed to get everything in the right place. And I spend an awful lot of time just rearranging things. There's a whole load of other ones in the living room that need to come in here too. I dream of having a beautiful library that would allow me to roam through halls and halls of books, but I do not live that kind of life. And even if I did, I'd become overwhelmed by it extremely quickly. So here we are, just moving books from shelf to shelf and trying to invent categories in my own head as ever. I hope you're all well. I've got a really, I think, incredibly relatable podcast episode for you today. A couple of days ago, I interviewed Sam Baker, who many of you will know from her brilliant Substack, The Shift. Sam is a Reformed magazine editor, having edited many of the glosses, and she writes most frequently about midlife, about the changes that come in our lives around about the time of the menopause, but also recovering from years of living within a working culture that never stopped, and that caused Sam multiple episodes of burnout, but which also is kind of embedded in the way that we live at the moment. I just think she is such a generous and fascinating voice, who really captures with great honesty the stuff that many of us feel all the time. And it's no surprise that in her interview she touched on that in her own life, feeling, I think, really challenged by the idea of retreating at all. And for me, I think it really rang true that the idea of ever stopping, of ever having a kind of cessation in the constant battle against emails, social media messages, tasks to do, things to write, creative instincts, is actually quite difficult to imagine for loads of us. And I think for me, it's taken me to the heart of what I'm trying to explore with this podcast, which is not how can we just simply do a nice thing and only talk about nice things, but actually what comes up for us when we begin to think about stopping. What does it mean to us really to be in this cycle of work, and how embedded in us is it to have our identity entangled with work and caring and simply doing. I think you're going to find this a really interesting one. I certainly did. And I will be checking back in with you afterwards to see what you think. Sam Baker, welcome to The Clearing. It is lovely to have you here.
Oh, I'm delighted to be here, although a little bit anxious.
Oh no, why anxious?
Well, I've discovered that retreating sends me into a spiral of overthinking. Who knew?
Oh, that's interesting. So do you try to do it often, or is it something you tend to avoid?
I tend to avoid. Avoid, avoid.
Okay, well, this is going to be a fascinating process, and I wonder if we can imagine a retreat that wouldn't send you into an anxiety spiral. But I do get that. I always ask people what brings them to retreating today, but it sounds rather like you're being dragged kicking and screaming.
Yes, yeah. You bring me here, Catherine, dragging me by my feet.
Oh my goodness. Do you generally find it easy to switch off, or are you someone that's always like on and ticking over?
I think I am always on and ticking over. I'm better than I used to be. But I'm always doing something, even if it's playing Candy Crush. And I think when I was looking at your questions, kind of sort of preparing, sort of avoiding, it really made me think, do I have to be on my own? Is this just going to be me? You know?
Ooh. So what's your attitude to solitude? Do you enjoy being alone?
I enjoy being alone, but alone usually involves the cat, the phone, Netflix.
Right.
So alone, if someone took away my phone and dropped me on a desert island for 48 hours, even leaving aside all the survival stuff, not sure about that.
This is going to be interesting then. And actually, I don't think you do have to be alone. I think, a retreat with other people is definitely possible. And it would be, I'm going to ask you about your phone, about where your phone is in all of this, because I've got a feeling you might still be tapping away. Is this a kind of hangover from your days as a magazine editor, I wonder? Because that must have been, you've written about the burnout that came from it, but that must have been a pretty much 24-hour a day, everyone talking to you at once kind of a job.
Yeah, but I think it's a question of what comes first, doesn't it? Does the job make you like that, or do you go for the job because you're like that?
Yeah.
And I remember at one point changing jobs from Cosmo to Red and saying to my partner, oh, this will be better. It won't be so crazy. It won't be so full on. And he just looked at me and said, are you not taking yourself with you?
Yeah.
And he was completely correct, because the crazy and the full on and the 24/7, that's me. The job lent itself to that, but I think I have to take the blame, to be honest.
You're all in. Yeah, I get it. I'm actually really similar. I like to live at a fairly slow pace, and I like to not see many people in the course of my day. But I don't stop. And when I go away and retreat, I might put my current project aside, but it only just opens the door for like 20 other things. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and oh yeah, that would work really well. Like, there's a certain type of brain that exists in our world of work, isn't there, that just doesn't ever shut down.
Yeah, it's like I can't remember where I read it, but I read an article about people who don't have that inner noise.
Do they exist?
Apparently they do. And I don't think they're even that rare, but I just couldn't imagine what that would be like without that constant chatter.
I think I'm married to someone like that, actually. I don't think he's just not terribly troubled by anything that isn't in front of his nose. He's really happy for life to just proceed. And he just, rides that train. And I'm like, how do we improve this? Which drives him crazy. He doesn't understand why I'm so dissatisfied as he sees it. Whereas I'm like, no, just everything can just be massaged into something a little bit more. Why not?
Yeah, it's not dissatisfaction, is it? It's just a kind of a compulsive doing, I suppose.
Yeah. Constant process of reform. Well, welcome to my clearing in the forest, where your dream retreat awaits. And it is yours, it's not mine. So don't worry about how I would do it. But tell me, first of all, what landscape are we in for you here? Where are we in the world? What does it look like?
I think, I don't know whether I've said this to you before, but I've definitely written before about the conjunction, if is that the word, I don't know, of mountains and sea. That I really like and really feel at home with. And I think that's partly to do with, mountains are big. In case you hadn't noticed. And I think that, I don't know, it's that bigger than me, more important than me, more solid than me, more permanent than me. And the sea, I find something very, very reassuring and comforting and relaxing about water. But also I like to see the edge. And I don't know whether that's a recent thing. It's something I've recently become aware of. And now if I have to go away for work and I'm in the centre of the country for a week, 10 days, 2 weeks, I find I get really antsy. I need to see the edge. So I would definitely need to see the edge.
So you're on the edge of somewhere. Are we in Scotland? Because I remember you saying to me about moving to Edinburgh. Like, the lovely thing is it's a big city, but it's by the sea, like the best of all worlds.
And you can see mountains.
And you can see mountains, which is, that's really perfect. So are we in Scotland, or would you fly somewhere?
In Scotland, or we could be, I'm increasingly realising I'm quite northern. So if it wasn't Scotland, I think it would be a Scandinavian country, but not a really flat one. So sorry, not Iceland. Too flat.
Sorry, Iceland, except for your volcanoes, which are very pointy.
These are very pointy. But no, I think it was going to be more somewhere with lots of trees and lots of, so Norway, Sweden.
That sounds
or
lovely.
Scotland.
And are you in the summer for your retreat, or are you preferring something a little chillier?
I like chilly, actually. I quite like I say this as someone who's a bit SAD, but I do like the dark. I'm not about to talk to you about wintering because you are that wintering expert, but I think, do you know what? I like the extremes, and that's another thing that I like about Scotland is I like the extremes of light. So I like having 20 odd hours of daylight in the summer, and I don't mind having only 5 in the winter.
Because I feel very intense, though, for a long period of time.
Yeah. I mean, it's very disorienting when it starts to get dark at 2:30.
It's amazing.
But I like it as well. Like, I like the extremes of weather. And I used to think when I was probably 20 odd years younger, I used to think I'd love to live in LA where there's no weather. Theoretically, I mean, obviously,
they seem to be
climate change.
Plenty of weather right now.
They're having plenty of weather now.
Yeah.
But that kind of solid 70 degrees theory.
Yeah, all the way around the year, yeah.
I used to think I would love that, and now I think, no, I like a season. But probably winter, because my very favourite weather is cold but bright.
Okay, yeah. So mountains, cold but bright. This sounds actually really lovely. So tell me about the retreat venue itself. Are you a cabin girl, or is this a spa hotel?
Definitely not a tent.
Definitely not a tent.
Definitely not a tent. No, we're not going. I don't care how posh your tent is. I'm not going anywhere near it. I don't really like this. I sound like such a nutcase. I'm not a massive hotel fan, actually. I find hotels, and again, I think it might be to do with my job. I find them a bit performative.
Yes. It's very hard to switch off in a hotel, isn't it? You're constantly kind of interacting with someone or being polite or wondering if you've got to tip someone. Like, there's a lot. I get a lot of hotel anxiety.
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad that you don't just think I'm nuts.
No.
Yeah, I find them quite confining. But I would always rather go to, I'm sorry, because I know Airbnb has its issues, but give me that I am the person that was made for, because I don't have to be in a room that's, 9 square meters or whatever. I'm not, my math, you're seeing how bad my maths is now. But that kind of, when you book a hotel room, like if I go to stay in London, I'll book one of those tiny little pod hotel rooms, and just like, is there a window? to find them confining. And I don't like the kind of hotel bar, go down for breakfast, all of that stuff. I just find it a bit, performative.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Not
quite a lot,
relaxing.
isn't it? But are there, so would you have, the archetypal cabin or like a pod or a tree house, or do you just want a nice little house?
Little. Yeah, like this is like to be very
It
specific.
could be a mansion.
Can you imagine what I'm like trying to buy a house? Couple of rooms. I'd like a log burner. But I wouldn't have to do I wouldn't like to have to do the log burning myself, so I'd probably burn the place down.
Okay, fair. So, so are you alone, or are you with well, it sounds like you could have a butler, but that might become performative quite quickly.
No, but I'm quite happy to be on my own. And if I'm with other people, I would need some alone time.
Right. Yeah.
So, for instance, when people go on writing retreats and they talk about, oh, we had this great dinner and we spent, we were hours and we had lunch. And I always think, oh, no, I don't want to. What if I don't want to? I don't want to do 11 hours solid with people I don't know. Yeah. So it's a mixture. I don't want to have to spend too much time in my own head. I'd like to be able to get out and talk to people, but on my own terms.
Okay.
I'm not selling myself to anybody, am I?
I don't think we need to. We're past that age now. We can just be the little hermits that we are. So maybe close to a nice town. Maybe you can have a little wander into some lovely little place with a good deli.
Yeah, and coffee.
Yes, important.
Definitely
Are
coffee.
you the kind of person who would cook for yourself, or would you like us to deliver via stalk, if necessary, baskets of wonderful food?
Gosh. I mean, it's hard to turn down the baskets of wonderful food delivery, isn't it? But I am a person who would bother to cook for myself if the mood grabbed me.
Yeah. Yeah. And what would comfort food be for you? What would that feel like?
I think this is probably more revealing than I want it to be. I'm finding it very hard to say, this is what I want.
Do you feel like that in everyday life, though? Because it seems like you're someone who really knows their own mind and who's in many ways a thought leader. It's interesting to hear you say, "Oh, I'm not sure what I want." It's quite fragile.
I don't know that I'm fragile. I think, do you know what I used to, in my previous life, I used to find it very easy to make decisions in a public capacity.
Right.
But then in a private capacity, and I did write about this, I think, in the shift, I would find it very hard to say, Chinese or Indian.
Right.
I would kind of go, oh, what do you want? But I would never have done that in my public life.
It's almost like there's a sort of decision fatigue there from having to make so many. Your job was to make decisions and to know the direction of everything.
Yeah, I think what I want on my retreat is for someone to be psychic.
Okay.
And have just worked it all out and me not have to do any thinking and just wander in.
And it's still going to be perfect. Yeah.
Yes.
That's the dream. Well, we will try and find that person for you. We'll start interviewing for that role now, and I'm sure we can get someone. There's something very maternal about that in a way, that craving, like the person who knows you better than you know yourself and who relieves you of the burden of making choices in a way that feels nurturing rather than bossy, I think.
Yes, and I think it's also relieves you of the responsibility, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, we shoulder so much responsibility in our day-to-day lives. I mean, you are the expert in this. Women of a certain age, as we used to say, but women at midlife who are carrying everything for everyone quite often. I think the fantasy is not thinking for a while. It's not the actual doing that's the problem. It's the thinking that I find very fatiguing.
Yeah, they're planning ahead. I mean, the number of people who who say to me over the course of any given week, I just don't want to have to think about what's for tea again. Or, when I was writing the shift and I had this focus group of about 50 women, when we were on this theme, the number of women who said, I know how bad this sounds, but I would just like to be in hospital for a couple of weeks. Nothing really bad, nothing really serious.
Just maybe something contagious but unpleasant. No, contagious but fine.
Where I can't be got. Like how most women also like being on planes on long-haul journeys.
Love a long-haul journey. Or even a train, because I don't think I can reasonably be expected to do much on a train, honestly. It's too patchy for the Wi-Fi and too wobbly.
Yeah, I've got a 4-hour train journey tomorrow and I'm quite looking forward to it, I have to say.
Yeah, that would be nice. I think it's the same thing that when you catch a cold and it's nothing particularly serious, but you think, oh, I get a day to watch movies feeling mildly uncomfortable. This is great.
Yes, and eat beans on toast. Yeah.
So nice.
See, that when you asked me about my comfort food, that's probably what it would be. But I don't know. I think I'm having like a bit of a disconnect between a retreat and comfort. I think retreat has kind of summoned up all these shoulds.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. And that is, that's part of modern life, isn't it? The sort of idea that we've commodified rest, and that even something that's supposed to be for us, we worry now about doing it right, and whether we are retreating in a beautiful enough way, whereas actually sitting in jogger bottoms and eating beans on toast might just be the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's like, okay, I'm going to go on a retreat. I should be doing something. I should be writing. I should be reading an improving book or something really big and fat that I've always meant to read. I did immediately. The shoulds came raining in immediately.
Interesting. So we're here. Let's think about what you might do if the shoulds could be pushed back for a little while. That would be generally, actually restorative rather than improving, which I think is what we've all kind of learnt to do. We invited you to bring a kind of significant object with you on retreat, something that might be comforting or familiar or contemplative even. What is the thing that you would bring with you onto your retreat from home?
Can I have my cat?
You can have your cat, yes. Tell me about your cat.
Well, I don't really know why I want my cat because he's an absolute bloody nuisance. But he's very cuddly. I think he would like, if we're thinking like of a cabin, but very comfortable cabin with lots of blankets and a wood burner, trees, sea. I think he'd like that. He'd like the outside space. He likes to be cozy as well. Give me someone to talk to. And he's cozy and warm, and we like watching TV together. We like kind of hanging out. We've got one of those kind of a big, or not that we would have this sofa on the retreat, but we've got one of those big, it's a big kind of like corner chaise sofa thing.
Oh, lovely.
And it's a bit like a big boat, and I always feel like we're on a raft, which I quite like. It's like our little island, and we're on it. So I would take Sausage.
Is that his name, Sausage?
Yes.
That's a lovely cat name. And what colour is he?
Oh, he's black and he's got no tail.
Oh, Sausage.
Yeah, see, he's a rescue, and I think that's how he got his name. Because I think they probably went, oh, Sausage.
You poor Sausage. So do they know how he lost his tail?
I think he had an accident, so they had to amputate his tail and rebuild his hips.
Oh, bless him.
So he's got this little stump that kind of twitches in annoyance occasionally.
He's still using it to the best advantage.
He's trying, bless him. He's trying. How much energy goes into that little twitch, I don't know, but quite a lot probably.
Well, that's lovely. So Sausage is going to come with you for company and snuggles, but he's going to live his best life for most of the day, roaming through the beaches and the mountains, and he's going to, hopefully not catch anything.
Not bring me any gifts. That was what I was just about to say. That. Sorry to interrupt you.
That's fine. All right. Well-behaved Sausage is with you, keeping you company. And so what do you think you are going to do here if you could put aside trying to somehow advance your work during this time? Or maybe you would work, but what are you going to do with your time?
I don't know about you, but I work all the time.
Quite a lot. Yes.
Just pretty much all the time. And if I'm not working, I'm thinking about working, or I'm catastrophizing about working, or, there's always a work process. And even when I'm reading, which is how I have always, has always been a source of relaxation for me. Now I read so much for work, even when I'm reading a book for relaxation or fun or whatever, I'm quite often thinking about the other book that I should be reading.
Yeah. How like, what's the percentage that you get to read for fun compared to for work? Because you run a book club, obviously, and you also just interview lots of authors for your newsletter. What's the split? Do you actually get to read for fun very much?
I try and do 2 for work, 1 for me.
Right.
I try.
Okay.
But it depends, if I'm in the middle of recording a podcast series, it just depends how many interviews I'm doing in any given, in any given week. And most of the things that I read for myself end up being crimey or ghosty or something completely other, because so much of what I read for work is well, the book club is a real mix, but the podcast tends to be non-fiction.
Yeah.
Often, not always, but often.
So you've got some time to dig into those like crime series that you haven't begun yet, or some like chillers, as they used to say. I don't think anyone calls a book that anymore.
They should, though.
It's actually good. Yeah, I think that is a lot of the time kind of what you want from that kind of reading, isn't it? You want to feel like a little like that tingle.
I think I'm one of those people who quite likes to read something that's set in the location where I am. But if I'm on my own in a cabin in the forest or on the edge of a forest or by the sea, that might not be a good idea, because I might scare myself out of sleeping. Yeah. So maybe not. I think if I can reach a point where I'm like, okay, I am not going to work, or if I am going to work, it's going to be something that just comes to me and I'll start making notes. I'm not going to beat myself up about the fact I should be working. Then I think I would, and I'm sorry, so I'm slightly jumping ahead to your next question.
That's fine.
Which I think that I would take the entire 2 series, I don't know, it's a box set, that's how old I am, downloads of, there's an amazing Japanese manga called The Apothecary Diaries.
Okay.
Which I am quite obsessed with. And it's currently, there are 2 series of 24 episodes each.
Right.
And they're making a 3rd series. I mean, maybe we can really have a fantasy land with the 3rd series finished. So I've got those 24 episodes as well.
Let's do it. Yeah.
And so I think my real like no shoulds fantasy is just that I sit there and I watch the entire run of the Apothecary Diaries.
Amazing. With the cat on your lap, nice comfy sofa, cup of tea in hand.
Yeah, cup of tea, coffee, tea, mainly tea, chocolate. Yeah, beer walking, wander into town, coffee, bun. Get a bit of air, move.
Yeah.
And then Apothecary Diaries, back to back. It's incredible, and the storytelling is amazing. I mean, I'm on my 2nd watch through at the moment, because it's like the layering. And you notice now I'm kind of like halfway through season 1 and you're like, oh my God. So literally that one little scene where you saw a hand someone a pipe, 6 episodes later.
Wow.
And and that goes right the way through. It's incredible. I mean, if you're interested in,
I'm writing it down actually because
it's Japanese, but it's set in a kind of a Tang dynasty.
Wow.
Ish, and it's about a young, well, she's a teenager called Mao Mao, who's a trained apothecary, and she gets kidnapped and has to go and work in the rear palace. And it's honestly, just from a storytelling perspective, watching the layering and how something will happen. There's a really big storyline halfway through the second series that you can see now they were setting up a third of the way through the first series. It's just amazing because I often think, sorry, this is quite boring. I think those things they're not, it depends. I'm always interested in whether someone retrofits or whether they plan a long way ahead, whether it's just luck.
Yeah. And this clearly isn't
or whether
luck.
they go
it's clearly
back.
very finely
this is
constructed.
Incredibly finely constructed. So it's neither retrofitting nor luck. It's, planned and layered, and it's incredible. And it's beautiful animation as well. And not doing something else because it's subtitles. So not doing something else on my phone, not focusing on other things, not waiting for the washing machine to finish, not feeling like I should be doing something else, just completely immersing myself in that world.
It's so rare to actually do that, isn't it? I remember thinking 5 years ago about young people multi-screen, and now I just multi-screen as well, honestly. I'm often watching TV with a crossword in front of me, for example. Like it doesn't feel like enough doing somehow just to watch something, which is new in my life, honestly. I've been changed by this technology.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the reasons I really like things with subtitles is because I can't do that. Right. I have to. So I never watch, I do really like Japanese cartoons, and I never watch, and Scandinavian crime, it won't surprise you. And I never watch it with dubbing. I always watch it with subtitles because it makes me watch it.
Right.
Instead of sitting there with my phone playing Sudoku or Candy Crush or whatever, or checking my email or looking at social media, well, the TV is going on in the background, which, like you say, is completely normal now.
Yeah.
Me to do other things. And the other thing, I was thinking about this the other day, is that instinctive looking up of things. Whereas I know I drive myself mad, and where you used to go, oh, what's that word? That's really annoying. Or, oh, who wrote that? Or what's that song? And you'd mulch for a bit, and eventually 9 times out of 10 it would come to you. I mean, now I'm straight on Wiki or Shazam or something like that, and I've got the answer within a few seconds.
It's almost like you know the knowledge is there, and so you cannot just let it rest anymore. Like I think I used to just be more comfortable with knowing that I didn't know things, and now I find myself reading a book and I'll put the book down to look up if they've made a reference to another book, and I'm like, well, I don't know what that book is. Well, I must suddenly know all about this other book, and so I'm googling it on my phone.
I do
which
that.
In a way is kind of, it's not necessarily bad because but it's all about building up a big web of information rather than actually immersing yourself in contact with the thing at hand.
I think that's the thing, isn't it, with book? I mean, I did that. We went to Oslo a couple of weeks ago, and I was reading a book that was set in Oslo because that's what I do. And I spent ages keeping on going back to the map and looking at, on my phone, obviously, looking at where I was in relation to it, looking at the history of, and whilst that's interesting, and like you say, you are learning things about the place or the history of the place, you are also just not having the immersive one-to-one experience of reading the damn book.
There's real kind of anxiety behaviour behind it as well. Like, what if the moment I don't look at my phone, something happens to someone in my family, like there's that terrible sense that thread can't be ever let go of now because it exists, and it used to not exist and we were fine, but because it exists now, we can't not see it.
Yeah, it's that you can't. I don't think that you can go back to how it used to be. I was rewatching Edge of Darkness a few weeks ago, which is an amazing, amazing crime series from the 80s. So it's kind of crime, thriller, environment, conspiracy. It's really incredible. I would really recommend you watch it. But it's set in the late 80s, and it's all, answer machines and the big box TV in the corner, and he stays in a hotel in London, and the people phone him in his room. And it creates a completely different dynamic. Everybody doesn't know where everybody is. He's meeting someone somewhere. You just have to turn up. You can't text and say, I'm running 10 minutes late. All of those things that now, do I sound like an old fart? It just really made me think.
I think we've been through the looking glass, and we are all wondering if we could adapt backwards now. I mean, I don't know if you know anyone that's got an old Nokia 3310 now. They've gone back to that. I've read about it in the papers, but I don't know anyone that's actually done it. But I do have a very close friend who has never, ever had a social media account. And I can't imagine that life. That's terrible, isn't it?
I can't. I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Because in our jobs, I can't imagine we'd be allowed to.
She works in the media.
Really?
I know.
I need to know who that is. How on earth do you manage that? I think, I mean, I was reading an article recently about how our generation, I mean, I'm a bit older than you, but Gen X are the last generation, the only generation actually with a foot in two camps.
Yeah.
And what the impact of that is on us, and that, there's a versatility to having lived a substantial amount of your life before and then a substantial amount of your adult life after. So you kind of can see both sides and you can straddle both sides. But I also wonder.
Well, whether it's like a one-way process, really. I mean, I think what it kind of means for a lot of us is that we have this nostalgia for the time before that is, I think, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but unfulfillable in lots of ways. And that foot in two camps is actually quite painful sometimes, because I know that I spent my entire childhood and teens without any of it. And I know that my first contact was in my first year at university. And that's a really clear threshold, that didn't have email, didn't have a mobile phone until that exact point in time when I was changing from being someone that lived at home with my mum to being an adult out in the world. And I don't think I know how to do adult life without tech. But I also know that I really want to escape it a lot of the time, and it overwhelms me, and I'm so sick of being contactable constantly in many different locations, and that balancing that anxiety of like missing something with the desire to not come in contact with it. Yeah,
I mean, FOMO and comparison culture and all that's all so much worse now, because No, if you didn't know where everybody was, you didn't know that you weren't.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw a thing on social media, where it's basically, I want to be invited, but I don't want to go.
Yes, that's my eternal.
Yeah, and that absolutely sums me up. I want to have been wanted to go, but I don't actually want to go.
I'm trying to turn up to things more, though. I did go through definitely like a decade of, no, I'm not doing that anymore. And now I think, well, you do kind of get forgotten if you don't show up, but you also miss that lovely randomizing effect of being put in a room with people you don't, that you wouldn't have actually met in person. You do make connections, but it's so exhausting. It's just completely flattening.
This is my whole issue. One of my issues with the whole retreat thing is it would be really good for me to be put in a house in the middle of nowhere with 5 complete strangers. Not Big Brother style. Just like life, real lives. Like-minded, I hope, ideally.
Yeah.
But my instinct is to go, me, the cat, box set, kettle on constant boil, making tea without me actually having to get up to make it and disturb the cat. But I would probably be really glad if I went on if you said to me, no, you can't have a retreat on your own, you have to have a retreat with these 5 people or 6 people or whatever. But then, like you say, I would come back and I wouldn't be, even if I had a brilliant time, I wouldn't be, my batteries wouldn't be filled up by that. My batteries would be absolutely drained by it, even if I had a fantastic time, because that's just the way my psyche works.
It's that kind of introvert profile, isn't it? That if the way that you tell is, does being in a room full of people charge you up or run down your battery? And I think most of us have got a very clear response to that. Mine is definitely that my battery would be run down by that. Yeah. Okay. So you are going to enjoy the solitudinous aspects of this retreat, but maybe there needs to be some kind of balancing factor to keep you a little bit in contact with the world. I'm curious to know, actually, are you, because this is all very kind of cozy and indoorsy. Are you an indoorsy person, or are you someone that likes a bit of fresh air as well? Like, will you be going for long, improving walks?
Oh no, I love a walk. I'm a big walker. And I think one of the things I like about winter is I like the contrast. I like that. Go for a long walk, get really cold.
Yeah.
And then come back in, it's warm and you have a warm drink and there's a fire. I like those two things.
Yeah. Will you be going inland into the mountains, or are you going to walk along the coast?
Probably walk along the coast.
It's so easy to find your way back then, I find.
Yes. Yeah, I'm wondering how much of this actually is about control freakery. I mean, I wrote a post about this last week about the difference between control and power. And my therapist kind of saying, you need to reframe it so that you're drained of power. Someone hasn't got control of you, but your power is drained. So it's about, it's more about you than about other people. But it's interesting you say that, though, because things can't go wrong. No. And if you're walking along the coast, you can't get lost.
That's why I love coastal walking, because I get lost so easily and I get really disoriented quite quickly. But you keep the sea to your right or your left and you're going the right direction. It's
you
foolproof.
Can't get lost. It's not possible.
Love that. It takes all the worry out of it. Without it feeling tame, it still can feel quite wild and lovely, but not scary.
I think we're quite similar, which is why you're being so tolerant of my rubbishness.
No, I get it. I totally feel it. And I bet loads of people listening will feel it too, that sense that a true retreat is a sort of impossible dream.
I mean, I really want to know because you do retreats a lot. You run them. Yeah. I really want to know what your idea of a perfect retreat is.
Well, it's interesting because I'm learning to take myself off on my own regularly, and I do, I'll hire myself like a little cabin. I've got a favourite place that I go to that's just a really nice, well-equipped cabin, but it has access to the sea and it has a hot tub. Love a hot tub. I just like being neck deep in water, whatever temperature that water is, I think, ultimately. But I also go away once a year with some other writers. And I never thought I'd say that I love that kind of thing, but I actually find it so nourishing. I think the exact right people are there. We're all quite introverted. We all take our own space very happily. But I think the writing life also leaves me quite desperate for that contact and that kind of that ability to talk frankly with other people who are immersed in the same work that you're in. Because I think we all spend a lot of time speaking in public, and you have to just be a little bit careful what you say, obviously. You know, you have to never complain, never explain, in the words of Kate Moss, and be mindful that what feels hard to you looks like privilege to other people. So I think the ability to actually be with other people who just understand it and don't feel belittled by the challenges, as I see them, is just massive luxury for me.
So do you go with the same people every year?
Yeah. It
So
would be
it's
hard to change
tailor-made.
that group actually now. Yeah. Because trust builds up as well. But when I run retreats, I always really surprise people by saying, you're going to spend a lot of time on your own. We're not going to be in group all the time, because although we tend to think that's what we're paying for, almost like contact with the group, it will be horrible for you if you've got contact with the group all the time. And at the end of my retreats, people always say, God, they turned out to be so grateful for that time. So I think it's about structure quite often.
That's really interesting, because I think in my head, a retreat is like a management training course.
Oh, God.
but about a subject you're actually interested in.
Yes.
So lots and lots of, when I see them advertised, I always think, oh, that's just lots of compulsory being in a group.
Activity.
Yeah.
It's why I don't enjoy writing-based retreats, where we actually, because actually with my writer friends, we don't write. We just talk to each other and sometimes have a little walk or a swim or whatever. But I do not enjoy leading writing events, because actually I think it's just really hard for people to get out of their heads and really be writers in that space. I think that's too hard. Okay, so you've had a slightly itchy, like uncomfortable retreating time, although some nice moments. How do you know when it's time for you to go? Like, how long would this go on for you before you started thinking, oh no, I'm done now, I'm cooked?
I'm thinking back to the beginning of this year when a friend of mine let me stay in his cottage, which is up on further north on the coast in Scotland, in a small, very, very small town. And I went up there to finish, because I thought I was at a point in the book I was working on at that point where I needed to deliver X words by Y, so I thought, well, and I went for, I think it was 4 days, including the travel either end. And when I first got there, I thought, oh God, this is too long. I want to go home.
That first day can be really hard, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it was a bit very tempting just to lock the door and turn around and go back. Even though I was like looking out of the room I was working in, I was looking out at the North Sea, and, it was gorgeous. Beautiful. It ticked all my boxes. But by the time it came to go, I was like, oh, I could definitely do with another day, 2. So maybe 5 days. I think after a week I would be like, get me out of here. But 3 actual days with the travel wasn't quite enough.
Yeah.
It was almost just enough to really get into it. So
and are
5
you missing
days, I think.
Work, or are you missing people by that point?
Well, in that case, I was working. It was.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really missing work. I think I really got into the work at that point and was like, actually, I could do with one more day. But I was missing having someone to chat to.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you reach a point where you start going into shops just to talk to someone.
That's when you know everything's broken and you've got to turn around and go back again. That's quite interesting. I mean, that's not long really, is it? It's so... I kind of experience the same cycle. I spend my whole life thinking, I just want time on my own. I want everyone to leave me alone. I want, complete silence. I want nobody to demand anything of me. And then I go away on my own, and that lasts I think maybe 3 days before I start feeling pangs for home and wanting to just, return to loved ones and just be back in the flow of other lives. It pulls very quickly, I think, for me.
If you spend a lot of your day writing, you spend a lot of time in your own head. But for me, it's important. I mean, it's one of the reasons I love podcasting, because it's compulsory talking to other people. You need to get out of your head too. I need to get out of my head.
Yeah. Yeah. You can get very deep into your head, I think, when you do the kind of work we do. And really, it can really transform your mood just because you haven't spoken to another person.
And real people as well,
Not
an
characters.
actual person in the room with you, not... Because, yes, you can go on social media and chat to people, but
not the same.
It's definitely not the same. And also that's where, if you're already deep in your head, that's where they're a bestseller, they're this, they're that. If you're that way inclined, and to my shame I am, that's where that starts to kick in. Whereas if you're in the kitchen having a cup of tea with a real live person talking about real life mundane, that kind of switches off all that noise.
A final question. What do you bring back from your retreat with you? Do you bring a souvenir, or do you bring a thought or a feeling or an idea? What comes back home?
Cat, ideally.
Yeah, don't forget the cat.
Well, in an ideal world, some of that calm. If I haven't, because the flip side of having spent 5 days on my own is that I could have gone completely inside my head, and I could need to come home to get calm.
Yeah.
So yes, fully basket case. But I'm very likely to have picked up, pine cone or shells or particularly nice worn pebble, something like that. And then I'll carry it home, and it'll be rolling around the bottom of my bag. And I've just carried a rock home for...
You need a desk beach. That's what I have. I have a little wash of stones and shells at the side of my desk.
Oh, do you? Oh, I'd love to see that.
The desk. It doesn't look like much, but it just... Otherwise, what do you do with all those little lovely objects that you can't help but bring home with you? Sam, thank you. That has been lovely. And I am so grateful for your honesty about how hard it is to retreat. I think it's really easy to perform retreatiness. And actually, I think yours is probably one of the realest set of answers we've had. So thank you so much. I hope you managed to enjoy it a little bit, even despite being in your head.
Oh, well, thank you for letting me. And I'm sorry I didn't conjure up a beautiful spa with, papaya, and which of course now I'm thinking, oh my God, I should have just gone to Thailand and eaten fresh fruit and wafted.
Would you have enjoyed it though, or would you have been on your phone secretly under the table?
No, I wouldn't have enjoyed it, because inevitably somebody would have been doing yoga, and I can barely touch my knees, let alone my toes. So I would have immediately identified my own shortcomings, and that would have been that.
You'd have spent the week in great annoyance. I think you chose the right one for you.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that. I have a strong feeling that lots of people listening will have found a lot to relate to there. It always bothers me a little bit that in my work I'm called so often to talk about the need to take rest, the need to retreat. It's in the subtitle of my book, after all. But it's very easy to get into an unreal conversation about those kinds of issues, one that is devoid of the reality of the obligations that loads of us have, the genuine restraints, rather than the habits of thought that we like to talk about. You know, we like to say, oh, that's just a mindset issue, but not everything is. And I was so grateful for Sam's willingness to just be honest about how this actually lands for her, to really voice that belief that comes up in many of us that we just don't know how to do it. That conviction that we're not sure who we would be if we stopped working, but also the very stark reality that we often work in industries where things would carry on without us and forget us very quickly, or at least that's the sense we have. Now, that doesn't mean to say that change isn't possible, but I love that Sam let us meet her exactly where she is and really dug into the minutiae of those thoughts and feelings of resistance that comes up. It is not lost on me that I'm recording this discussion just as I am in the middle of a cold, and I'm carrying on anyway, because that's what we do, isn't it? That's what we all do. I love to think that as in my 20s, if I had a cold, I'd take a day off work and lie in bed with the duvet pulled up to my chin, watching movies. But in fact, I am just keeping going because there's lots to do before Christmas and I can't afford to get behind right now. So I'm croaking at you instead and sending solidarity to everyone else who is carrying on despite feeling under the weather at this time of year. We can dream though, right? And that's what we'll carry on doing. Take lots of care of yourself, wrap up warm, drink lots of hot honey and lemon, and I will see you next week with another dream retreat and more hopes that one day we'll be able to rest. Take care.